Hey friends, I thought I'd go over what a fable is today. Just remember that fables are stories intended to teach a lesson. Lesson, as we know, is also known as a central message. And animals are often speaking and they have those characteristics like a human being. So, some elements or parts of a story to remember in a fable are that animals are usually always the main characters. The plot and the characters are pretty simple and easy to follow. The stories teach a moral or a lesson, as we know as a central message. They're teaching you something that you can relate to in your life. The setting is pretty common, and sometimes it's not that specific. It doesn't go into too much detail. And the author uses personification. Well, what is personification? Well, personification, it's basically saying that animals or sometimes even objects seem to act like real people with real feelings and emotions. In real life, you don't have dogs and cats, having conversations right in front of you. So these fables actually make it seem like these animals are really having these feelings and these emotions like real people and having these conversations with each other. Personification, in other words, it's acting like a person. So, some examples you might remember of fables are the grasshopper and the ants. And if you've ever seen the movie Bug's Life, that's kind of an example of this specific fable. You also have the tortoise and the hare and the lion and the mouse. So, these are just some examples. Today, I want to go over a fable with you, and it's called The Frog and the Ox. So, this is a fable. A young frog who lived in a field was amazed at the huge size of an ox. He rushed to tell her father about the monster. The father frog, trying to impress his child, puffed himself up to look like an ox. The young frog said, "It was much bigger." And again, the father puffed himself up. But the young frog insisted that this monster, this ox, was even bigger. So the father puffed and burst. What lesson do you think was taught in this fable? I love fables because they teach you something. Well, some of the elements are characters. The characters were the young frog and the father. The setting, if we go back, where is the setting? Where does the story take place? If you take a look at the very first sentence, it tells you. See if you were right. The setting is in a field. So, what do you think the lesson or central message of the story is? His father kept puffing and puffing to compare himself to this big, large ox, which we know in our head is completely absurd. An ox is like a huge cow with those big, long horns. It's almost like a bull. The lesson is be happy with who you are. In other words, be true to your own character. So, this was a fable because we had those animals acting as humans, as we now know is kind of personification, and it teaches you a lesson. Here is a last fable that I'm going to read to you. It's called The Fox and the Old Lion. I think this one's kind of, interesting. An old lion sent out word that he was ill and said he would like the animals and birds to visit him. So this old lion is very ill, in other words, sick, and he wants all these animals and birds to visit him, wish him well. Most of them went, but the fox did not. Finally, the lion sent for him, asking why he had not come to see him. The willy fox replied, "I had planned to, but I noticed that although many tracks, in other words, footprints, led into your cave, none of them led out." So think about it. All these animals that went in to see this ill lion, did any of them come out? No. So who are the characters in this story? Yes, the old lion and the fox. And that fox, Willie, is cunning. He's smart. He's intelligent. He understands that, all these animals went in, but none of them went out. He did not get tricked by this old lion. And in this case, where do you think this setting is? It doesn't say right off the bat where it is, but at the end it says, although many tracks led into your cave, none of them led out. So we know that's taking place outside near a cave. What do you think the lesson is, or the central message or moral of the story that we learned from reading this? The moral of the story is take warning from misfortunes of others. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this PowerPoint on what a fable is, and I hope everyone is doing well and enjoy the rest of your day.